We touched on this a little bit in the last question, but right now there's an awful lot of BYU players that aren't practicing in spring ball due to injury or recovering from surgeries. So how important is it for these guys? What type of an impact does that have on spring ball?
Well, the biggest impact it has is other guys are going to get opportunities to play. For example, on the offensive line, Dallas Reynolds is out probably for the spring as he recovers from an injury. That gives R.J. Willing, a return missionary, a chance to get back in the swing of things. Right. He started some games as a true freshman, went on a mission, came back. He's got a lot of work to do. This allows him to do that work with the first and second team rather than with the third or fourth team where they don't get a whole lot of work. So it's very important to him. Guys like Chris Bolden, who's trying to break through on that linebacker spot because David Nixon's out. Right. He's going to get a lot of reps with the ones and the twos during spring ball. So again, as we talked about earlier, it's important individually to some guys to really stand out at this point, show the coaches. This is a time 2 years ago when Johnny Harleen started to separate himself from the other guys on the team. Right. He started winning all the off-season workouts, and then when spring came, he was making incredible catches, getting open. That's when they started noticing him. So you can step up given the opportunity, and in this case, the injuries provide that opportunity for a lot of guys.
Right. There's a lot of guys that are injured. Dallas Reynolds is a prime example. What does he have to prove in spring? He's been starting for 2 years. But conversely with that, there's players that could have really used spring that won't have that opportunity. Moses Folquete comes to mind. JC transfer last year, got hurt. He really, really needed spring ball, and he's going to be behind again in fall by not having spring because he's unable to perform. So players like that, it really, really hurts them.
All right, when key players are out due to injury, it does a few things. And one of them is that it allows guys to kind of step up, show coaches, like you had mentioned, what they can do. But it also gives them the playing experience that helps coaches to provide depth on the team. And of course, you had mentioned R.J. Willing in place of Dallas Reynolds. It allows these guys to come back and say, hey, Coach, you know, I can play. I've competed early in spring. I've got the experience in spring practice. And of course, if they don't make the final cut, at least coaches know what they can do. They've seen what they can do. And of course, they can have that quality depth behind the starters.
R.J. Willing was with the first team offensive line very first day.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a ton of experience. I'm sure they'll give guys like Nicoletto and Jason Spearman a chance to play with the ones as well. I don't know if they'll have R.J. Willing there exclusively.
Sure. And then, you know, like Sean Doman at the linebacker's position, and when Markel Staffieri comes back and plays, Sean will have been able to run with that defense, be able to mesh with those guys if he doesn't have the starting position. But at least if he does come in and rotates with Markel for whatever reason, he's already got that position. He knows how to play there. He knows the guys. He knows how to you know, he's got that quality depth there.
You touched on something, Tal, that I wanted to ask you about. What does it do to the team chemistry to have these guys that might not see as much time playing so much in spring ball?
It's a good question. I think team chemistry is huge. I mean, you got to have guys that work and know each other. I think on the offensive side, it might be a little bit more so with the communication between the quarterbacks and the receivers. But these guys are a band of brothers. So regardless of the depth, first, second, and third team, they're all doing things together.
They still have meetings together.
They still have meetings together. They eat together.
Sure.
And so, you know, but playing together and understanding and knowing what these guys are going to do without actually having to communicate it verbally is, I guess we could say, it's kind of the unwritten rule. Okay, I know what you're going to do, even though you don't have to tell me what you're going to do. That's something that's oftentimes is brought together on the practice field.
That's where the strength of the system comes into play. These players are familiar with the system. A lot of the guys that are sitting out know the system. They don't have anything to learn in the system, and just the strength of the system is going to carry them through, which may supersede in a lot of cases just the continuity players have individually with one another.
Right.
Lots of guys that BYU fans want to see at 100% come September.